And over the course of the weekend, our subject is the heart. And our practice of meditation is related to this field of feeling, this substratum of feeling, and the heart. So that was very beautiful. And you see, this feeling is really ever present on all dimensions of our being. On all dimensions of our being. And it's actually what holds the different dimensions of our being together. So when we experience those other dimensions of our being that transcend the mind, how do we experience them? It's through feeling. It's through feeling. And the heart is the center of feeling. So we know the heart is the center of emotion, the center of feeling. It's also the center of the soul, the jivatma, the soul, the individual soul. So this concept of coming in touch with emotion as a constant part of our being and understanding that emotion. You see, we're not so aware of emotion. We think we may be, but that's only when we're enacting. Suddenly we're angry, suddenly we're happy. We're already enacting the emotion. We're already enacting it. Or we're a little bit more aware of our mental activity and we notice we're in a tangle. We think, there's some emotion underneath here. I need to drop into that emotion to understand the tangle. Have you had that experience? Many times, maybe the same thoughts are coming and you feel that tangle and you know, oh, there's some emotion here, I haven't expressed it. And emotion and the thoughts, they're actually subliminal. They are subliminal. That means they're just under our conscious awareness. And when we come to yoga, it's because we've become so educated in the external environment. We've really gone almost as far as we can, learning about the external. And when we come to yoga, we really feel that power of transformation and understanding because we start to turn in, isn't it? We start to turn in and experience this inner world. And we've been very focused on the physical body. We've become quite good in learning about the physical body, not objectively, but from inside. And how have we done that? It's through feeling. They're not mental concepts. The teacher instructs you, feel the sensation here, reflect on the effects, and you're perceiving that through feeling. And even with with yoga darshan, and I know I've been seeing many of you over the last year, and we've been very focused on the prana, isn't it? The nadis, the chakras, the pranic field, the psychic field. We've been very focused on that. But the way that we experience that field is also through feeling. And you see, if we were to look to the ancient texts to try and find what is this word feeling, you see in the West we say emotion. That's sort of where we go. We say feeling is emotion. And emotion means a current of energy that puts the mind in motion. That's the definition. The Latin word, imovare, a current of energy that puts the mind in motion. So that's our Western understanding. If we look to the ancient scripts, we find that this word bhavana comes up. Most of you are familiar with this word bhavana. So bhavana is feeling, it is emotion, but it extends. And it extends to your pure nature. Bhavana means your pure nature. So it gives that understanding that through understanding your emotions, through understanding feeling, you come closer to your pure nature. Pure nature. And what is your pure nature? It's your soul. It's your soul. So you see, we also have this way of really working with something. we're working with all our yoga practices, we're working with the prana, we're very vigilant watching our thinking mind. We're still, the psyche, that's still a lot of tangles and things happening there. And then we have this whole dimension of emotion that we haven't been so focused on. I feel that we haven't been so focused, or we haven't really looked at it in a particular light. You see, and we come to bhakti yoga, and we don't have so much time to unfold all of bhakti yoga, but many of us are familiar with bhakti yoga practices. We love kirtan, we do puja, but we feel that there's quite a gap between having these experiences of bhakti and then having a really practical application in your life. How can you work with this sense of feeling? How can you work with emotions? So the practice that I want to do today with you and develop in our next few sessions, it's a very simple practice, but it's very important, and that's called Darshan. And I think many of you are familiar with Antamona, where we work with the mental energy, the thought forms. Darshan works with feeling, becoming receptive to feeling and coming into the heart space, So we'll do that meditation, and then there are many more things we can say about emotion, about feeling. There's one other thing I want to mention right now, is that the interesting thing about feeling and emotion is, so Anahat Chakra, it's also known as the field of Manamaya Kosha. Manamaya Kosha is in Anahat. So Manamaya Kosha we know as the field of the mind. And it originates from Anahat. So this is a very big thing. We come to understand that the mind has two parts. It has the mental activity and it has the feeling, the emotion. In yoga we say both of these belong to the mind. Emotion, feeling and thoughts, they're all together in the mind. And if Manamaya Kosha exists in the heart, that means the bigger part of our mind is feeling, is emotion. And it's this emotion and this feeling that bring our thought forms. It's the emotion and feeling that create our thoughts. So this is a very big thing to understand, because we start to have that ability to understand our emotions and to express our emotions. We get in these tangles, we don't have that expression of our emotion in a very pure way. We identify, we enact, we have the thought forms, and they keep coming back because they're in our psyche, and the reason they're stored in our psyche is because of the emotion. The emotion needs to be expressed. It needs to be expressed. So this is a really practical tool we can work with. A practical tool of bhakti yoga to become vigilant, not just of this sense of feeling in our dimensions, but our limited emotions. Because we've come in a manifest limited form, and we have emotions with the way that we interact with the object world, with people as an individual. And we haven't yet understood all of those emotions. We are constantly having emotions, but they're subliminal. We just know the big ones. It's too late. We're enacting it. And we know that. I know that we all think, oh, I have to try and catch that before it happens next time. Don't we? But it's difficult. We create more and more space, we become more aware, but they may just be of the big ones, like anger or anxiety or, excitement. But there are so many emotions that we haven't come to know. There's a whole spectrum. So we need to understand our human emotions, our limited emotions, and start to change the thought forms and release these emotions. Because when you're having the thoughts and you drop into the emotion, the pure energy of emotion, there's a release. And if you keep going, you find something under, and you come to love. You come to love. So this is something really practical. I feel like, it's something we can take on and we can do. We can start to untangle. Because this is the point of our human birth. That tangle of emotion and thought forms that are in our psyche, we've come to work it out. And if we don't work it out, it comes with us so that we can be born again and work it out. That's our tangle. They're our impressions. They're our thought forms, they're our emotions. So it's a really big, wonderful thing to have something practical we can work with when we're, interacting in the world. Because the point of yoga is to have these two forms of awareness, that you're in the world and that you can interact in the objective world, but that you also have awareness of the inner world. So moving into this awareness of our emotions and our thoughts and those subliminal areas is what starts to bring these to really into our daily life, not just in our meditation or our yoga practice. And you see the feeling of the soul. The saints and the seers, to describe the soul, to describe enlightenment, they gave the word anandam. You see, anandam is a feeling. The mind isn't there. If we were to transcend our limited, if we were to move into the divine feeling, the transcendental, the anandam, it's a feeling. It's not a concept that the mind, subtle mind is going, anandam has descended. It is a feeling. So you see there's a very clear pathway. This is a bhakti yoga practice, practical. We hear that bhakti yoga is about imbibing these divine qualities because we're so identified with the divine, with our love, with our Lord, we're so identified that we start to direct all of our attention, our heart, our mind to the divine. And we start to imbibe these divine qualities. But in order to practice bhakti yoga, you have to purify first. You see, bhakti yoga is a high yoga. It's a higher yoga. You have to purify the prana, the body and the prana, so that you can come and open the heart. And you have to make that vigilant effort to be aware of the emotions and start to see what's happening. So, I'd like you now to just shake all of that off and stretch your legs out a little bit and then get ready for our meditation.